Welcome to our first video podcast. Usually we just run these off of through iTunes, and we have them on Podomatic. But today we are here with trainer and certified strength and conditioning specialist Kevin Conley. Many of you guys know him already. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to my guy from General Lumber, Anthony, who was kind enough to help us with many of the supplies that we had during our renovations of the gym during this quarantine. The flooring looks fantastic. And this is the first time we got to test out this podcast office. So really excited to be able to do this. Kev, you want to give a quick little brief introduction on who you are and why are you even here?
Why am I here? My name is Kevin Conley. I'm certified strength and conditioning coach, Precision 1 or Level 1 Precision Nutrition coach. And I've been working, since we opened. It's been quite a ride so far. Definitely the quarantine adds an aspect of those things you're not prepared for.
Things you are not prepared for. I think if anyone asked me, like, hey, you're going to open... First of all, I didn't even think I was ever going to open a gym, and I was able to, fortunately. But, yeah, you're a little over a year in, and you're ready to, go full force in the busiest time of the year. That a few months after January, February, March, usually the busiest months in terms of personal training and our services. And, we're going to shut you down for a few months. Never did I expect that. And not even speaking from that, too, like, sure, the business aspect of it, man, it stinks. And it's been really, it's been an emotional battle for so many people. But even from, like, my perspective and then my clients as well, it just that's a lot of time off from using not only just a routine, but like being able to load your lifts with enough equipment like the gym supplies. And not many people have a beefed up home gym, so it's been difficult. And now, how many months? We're a little over about 2 months now.
2 months, yeah.
And people are like, okay, now what? Because what have I been doing in the last 2 months? How do I even get back into the routine? And what have I lost? And how many people are not going to come back? I mean, what are your experience? I'm sure you're speaking to a lot of your clients too.
I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard I'm losing my gains.
Loss of gains. I think that
gains, man.
I feel like that after 24 hours and not getting a pump.
Right.
Yeah, so.
It's definitely been one of those things where, the first few months you're like, okay, cool, like I can do this.
Yeah.
Right. Like the at-home workouts, fun. Oh, cool. I get to train. I get to run outside, do things that I'm not used to. But then you get to a point where you're like, okay, I want to move some weight. There's only so much equipment. Like you said, a lot of people don't have buffed up, mean home gyms. That you can really like beat yourself up at. And again,
and even to the most part, like I'll definitely say that you can get away with a lot of stuff from like simple movements, right?
Absolutely.
But once we start getting those trained individuals that have had months of like resistance training and their heavy compound movements, their back squats or their bench press, their deadlifts, things like that. I think that's where people are getting most afraid because maybe where they're like, I'll tell you right now, like I was deadlifting over 700 pounds. I was squatting over 600 pounds, and my bench was atrocious. We're not going to talk about it, but it was decent. But I don't think I could do those same numbers right now. And I've had the gym. I mean, I've still been able to train, but the mentality's not there. Like just the atmosphere, the whole routine, everything has been kind of thrown off for us. But what would you say? I mean, what is your take, I guess, on this entire situation and returning back to the gym?
Returning back, there's a couple different facets I like to hit on. One is getting back into the gym. Obviously, get here once you're available to. And my second is like, don't worry, it's not that bad, right? Yes, 100%. I was the same way. I took a little hiatus when we closed down, and it started to hit different aspects of training, but I recommend that for everybody. Take 2 to 3 weeks. Do something different. 4 weeks.
I think it's normal for a lot of people that are training hard. They're I always tell people, like, if you're working out enthusiastically, like training with some kind of intensity and following some kind of program, or even not a program, maybe it's just a mindset. Like, okay, I know I did this last week. I'm going to try and overcome that, and it could be as basic as that. But to have this large of a gap, I don't think I've seen or heard of people that are really hardcore athletes. taking this much time off from having a structured routine.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, this has got to. I think the mindset is like, hey, I'm going to suffer in some way, and I'm sure, depending on lifestyle choices, maybe more some than others. But I mean, I guess the real question is, is explaining to people how long it actually takes to return, even just from a hypertrophy standpoint.
Yeah.
Sure, some muscle loss will happen, and depending on how you decided to eat and how much activity you decided to do, whether you take that outdoor activity like in walking or just sit on your bottom and just let things happen, how much body compositional changes you've had, maybe adding fat gain. I mean, I know a lot of people you see a little more alcohol use, maybe eating a little bit, foods that you wouldn't, wouldn't eat the foods that you normally would. So
yeah, when you're home all day, I mean, I think we've talked about it. You cook breakfast, you cook lunch, and then for dinner, you're like, well, I don't want to cook anymore, so curbside it is, or Uber Eats or whatever it may be. Looking at like what I've seen, because I was the same way when the quarantine hit. I'm like, I'm gonna lose everything.
Yep.
Everything I
What
worked
did I
for.
just do?
Everything I worked for is gone.
Luckily, your clients still like you, so at least you have those.
Well, yeah. At least I'll be able to get them in here. But a lot of it was, I was thinking the same thing, and I've had friends and clients reach out and say, well, what, like, all that hard work I put in is gone. And so that actually like really interested me in terms of like, okay, well, let's see how much. And I went through a few research papers and a few studies done, and this is where I'm saying like, it's really not.
No, it's not
the strength loss and the muscle loss is by far like, it's not as drastic as people think. Honestly, endurance, like VO2 max, endurance athletes, after 2 weeks they've seen up to 25% reduction in VO2 max, which, I mean, if we're talking about somebody,
so someone that's preparing for the Boilermaker or something like that is probably going to be a little disheartened, or disheartened. I mean, I know
if
a
they
lot of
take
people
everything
start
off,
right.
And the problem with a lot of the studies that are out there on this is that they did strict detraining, which detraining just occurs. It's a time of no training, nothing. Which a lot of our clients and a lot of the people that follow us and like, they still did some maintenance work. So really, the amount of muscle they may have lost, or I don't even like to say lost, because of that flat feeling, right? That, I feel soft. That's most likely just due to glycogen storage just being down, because your muscles don't need the energy. So it's why put it there?
I haven't done a lot of research in terms of like muscle loss and detraining and things like that, but I have in one particular article that I know of, which I've actually reference a lot when I have clients that go through surgeries, or it's zero. Like people, I've had people in the past have surgery, like even when my wife had a C-section. Okay, so even during that 8-week period there, or 9 where she wasn't training, it was like, because she trained all the way up until they told her, like, we're going to surgery now. So and that right there was like, man, like you could feel, and while the routine stayed pretty consistent in terms of nutrition, the routine in terms of going to the gym and feeling like you're just weak. And those neural adaptations that you set are just saying like you got to come back and do them again. And the one research article that I did for him was an older one, and it was 30 weeks of detraining. That was it, and it actually returned
I read that,
more muscle after a period of 6 weeks, which is like 6 weeks. That's relatively quick, and I think that there's some crossover, like the psychological aspects that you have to overcome those first few weeks. I could tell you that if you're normally pressing 100 pounds on a bench press, and then you come back and you're only pressing 50%. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, then granted, those people followed the program, had a baseline. Had their measurements drawn again. I think it was on the quads, and I'm not 100% sure on that. I think I might be in cross-referencing too. But then they took their 30-week period off.
I think that one, that might have been on the quads.
Yeah.
There was two that were done on the quads that I saw. In retrospect, I mean, 30 weeks, that's a lot.
That's kind of like the situation that we're in right now.
Huge. Yeah. And in retrospect, so what I've seen from the hypertrophy standpoint,
That's what most people are
biggest-
comfortable. And if anyone doesn't know what hypertrophy is, and that's just the muscle cell growing. Okay,
Yep.
that's like what we do is we're breaking down muscle fibers and we're supplying with enough protein and calories to support growth, to grow more muscle or just get stronger in general.
Yeah, strength reduces slightly. Yes, you're going to be weaker. And yeah, you might be a little smaller, right? What I've seen the most, well, from one of the studies at least, is that it's actually and this is going to technical or
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Type 2B muscle fibers are the ones that take the biggest hit, and those are
Can
typically.
you explain like what type 2B muscle
Yep.
fibers are?
Those are explosive muscle fibers. So
Okay.
there's type 1, type 2, type 2A, as some people call them. Typically just type 2, and then type 2B, or type 2X.
Type 2X, right.
We really can't.
Right. It's all good. We don't get into it. But anyways, you got different types of muscle fibers that correspond between a different.
So
different
type
use, right?
2B is is going to be that power, that like really explosive. They're very prone to fatigue, right?
Right.
So those quick movements, like that 1 rep maxes, right? Those are the ones that are getting reduced more so than the other two, right? So in terms of detraining, that's going to be the biggest
to go.
area of where you're going to see that hit, and that's why, you'll see. Well, I used to press, 400. Well, I wish.
Yeah, right.
But I used to press 400. And now I'm only pressing, I can only do like 350
Right.
or 325, whatever it may be. But then every study that I've looked at, more like 6 weeks or so after coming back, you're going to get stronger than what you were, bigger than what you were, or at least more dense, muscularly dense. And you're going to feel better. You're almost going through that phase of newbie gains again, right? So newbie gains.
I guess that's the way to do it. We're talking about adaptations, and there's like those constant leveling up.
Yeah.
And like you're talking about, okay, you come back, and the first thing you kind of feel like, wow, I'm not as strong as I used to.
Yeah.
And there's two different people. It's one, the person to be like, okay, I'm not going to put as much effort into it as I was before because I'll never get back there, which is not true. That's why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah, definitely not.
And then we have the people that are like, you know what, I'm going to just be consistent. If I used to press 400 pounds and I'm only doing 100 pounds now, I'm going to pretend that I have 400 pounds on the bar, and it might feel just like that. Same thing. So the relative intensity, like that, like we just use our RPEs, So
in terms of like the reason that being is why you'll get farther than where you were is muscle memory. I mean, they know what they're doing. The muscles know what they're doing, but they're just not up to speed. Right.
Sure.
And that's the biggest question I've got is, man, like, I'm gonna lose everything, and it's like it's really not gonna happen. You'll be weaker. You'll be, in most cases, right? You'll be weaker. You might be a little smaller, but in retrospect, like these last 2 months, and for those of us who've been training for 10 plus years, right? It's not like
it's such a minuscule time.
2 months out of there's 12 months, 120 months. Let's just say if you've been training for 10 years, 2 months is it's not even.
And I think a lot
fractional.
of us I think even a lot of us can even say that I know quite a few people that are going to benefit from this time off.
Oh,
even if
100%.
they've done some routine, some band work, or they're doing some like dumbbell work at home, or the things that they have laying around the house. I mean, I've had people doing gallon jugs and they're taping them together, 8 pounds a jug, and they're they're doing like that. But I think for those folks, I think a lot of them are going to see that they're going to catapult progress just by taking some of that mandatory time off. Just like we preach rest, just like we preach taper protocols or deload training weeks. Those are things that are so critical to and not many people follow a periodized program, but that's what those things are structured for. Those things
100%.
are structured for taking you from point A, and continue to escalate progress.
Yeah, I'd say if about 90% to 95% of the people like that had to go through this needed to. This is the best. It's probably probably going to be one of the best things that they could do. Is
take a little bit of time off.
And I guess like I really wish I could see a study that did moderate, like maybe more deload stuff. Because if we look at it, or prolonged deload, I guess, not really detraining, because again, like a lot of these detraining.
Well, I think there's enough evidence now that supports the use of deloads.
I mean like prolonged, like we always preach 3 to 1.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about say going from one program.
I would say that what we've been experiencing over the last 2 months is more like of maintenance, kinda. Just like most people aren't going to get the same intensity, right?
Sure.
Unless they really bump up like the cluster sets, the weird, not weird stuff, but the fun stuff, right?
Yeah, right.
The specific modifications to exercise. But it would be cool to see more along the lines of, okay, if you're going to go through, let's just say 12 weeks of high intensity, like hypertrophy training, right? Let's follow it with 12 weeks of like what we've been doing over the last few months, right? And then see retraining, because a lot of these studies were done, rigidly with, as rigid as they can, with 30 weeks of detraining. That's a long time.
Right.
And a lot of them were done with beginners, and everything that I've seen between beginners and experienced lifters, it's fairly similar. I mean, beginners can go a little bit longer with that detraining, so detraining can occur anywhere after 2 weeks. But again, I think the biggest hit is to endurance athletes, runners.
I think so
too. If you were consistently running before the quarantine, and then you took the 2 months off, no running at all,
right?
Then I would be a little bit more concerned.
Yeah.
But
and it's assuming they're doing a lot of like indoor stuff, because obviously with the weather that we have, it's so odds and ends. And I've seen people out there running when it's blizzard out, but I mean, you'll see. I've never seen this many runners out this time of year. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, obviously I'm not a big supporter of running, but I know I understand people love it. But just in context of your goals, I understand running. I think it's great, but I've seen a lot more people running now, and it's good because they were able to kind of get outside and keep some of that aerobic capacity that whatever they built up over the time before we left.
Yeah, people were tired of being indoors, and for a long time, April was just, the weather was all over the place. Hell, we had a snowstorm in May.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it's just been weird.
I'm waiting for the next one. I mean, it's been 90. Right. It's like, all right, when are we gonna get snow? I guess the big question now is, for the person that just started their program, so we went this quarantine, like I said, in the pinnacle of when gyms and fitness centers are relatively busy with people, New Year's resolutioners and everything else. Yeah. I guess, how do they get back on during these summer months? Like, how do they come back and get into a routine? You know what I mean?
I always say that the summer is the hardest time to get into a program.
Sure.
That's why when clients ask me about when they should do a show, or like when it would be ideal, and I'm like, look, that's a personal choice, because I know I like to go on the boat, I like barbecues,
sure,
I like going to the beach, and guess what? Like, I'm not.
I mean, I can attest to that. I can attest to that from an adherence standpoint, seeing like my nutritional clients and seeing adherence is not that great in July through. I mean, I would say probably June, July, and maybe some of August, and then all of a sudden it starts to shift a little bit.
Yeah.
But I can say that from a gym standpoint, not much of this, the bigger end is that from the facility, our gym usage is actually higher in July than it is in January. And no one believe me. We ran the numbers, and at any given moment, I think we had. It was in July, and this is all data we pulled from 2019. Was gym usage in July was like. Any given hour average per hour was like 300 members or whatever.
Oh, shit.
And we had in January was like 290, which is not a big fluctuation, but it was like, whoa, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, you may get a late realization, I guess. Like, look in the mirror and say, oh, God, it's beach season and I need some work done.
Yeah. Like maybe we're using those people. I mean, I'd like to think that a lot of our members enjoy coming to the gym outside of just, it's a tool and I got to be there and I have to, do this.
Exactly.
And it's a routine. And obviously you could see that, that percentage those number of people could certainly change with the amount of memberships we had from January to July as well. But, it's not just like, if you are going to do that and live that lifestyle, I'm going to go do things on the weekends or even in a week. I'm going to the gym too, and I'm gonna maintain what
Yeah.
I built. So,
And that's what I'm pushing the most.
Right. Like
selfish-
let's get like now we've learned so much about this entire thing, and I hate to, I don't want to make it sound like come to our gym because it will fight this disease, but like we've talked about this to nauseum that going to the gym and your immune system
Yeah.
it's a huge deal. And then we look at the comorbidities to many things, and guess what?
Yeah, man. I'm right there with
You know what I mean? Guess what? Comorbidities line right up there, and unfortunately, the U.S. does have an issue of an obesity issue. It's something we need to address as a community and
Agreed,
as a nation, and be a little more aware. Like again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm just I'm biased. I'm a gym owner, and this guy's only saying no.
Right.
This is a serious thing. This is a serious thing. I'm talking completely just as a human being. Is like we need to pay more attention to what we're doing and what we're eating, and
I agree.
and what our lifestyles are. I'm not saying you have to shun everything that is fun because listen, I'll be the first person to tell you that I like to have a few drinks on the weekend, and I can do that, and I feel very comfortable, and I'm healthy.
You guys keep stocking that tequila. You're gonna
The Patron.
you're gonna have a more frequent visitor.
But again, like I said, there's moderation and balance to this thing, and making sure you're taking care of your body too, whether it be through any form of fitness. There's multiple levels of fitness that you can go anywhere with, and man, I'm really excited to see what happens. We just actually announced that we're going to be reopening for personal training services, and that's exciting. I'm so happy because now. We have a facility that I thought we've taken care of things here as far as cleanliness, anyways, and it's been a pride of ours. But beyond that, I feel like now people are going to be a little more aware of their health and want to get back in that capacity. I know some people will be a little nervous at first, and it's fine, but hopefully they can see the benefits of this and getting back into a routine. And I think that this is going to be a fantastic thing for a lot of people. I think it's been shed a lot of light on.
Yeah, that's my next that's my big topic of research right now is immune system and exercise.
Yeah,
I mean, because we know that the exercise boosts the immune system and it fights off obesity, has a better chance of fighting off heart disease and whatnot.
Right, sure.
Obesity leading to all those things. But I'm really gonna get really nitty gritty into the science and really see what happens. With exercise.
Truly, not even from a bias standpoint. Let's just take a look and see what research you can come up with, or what you can.
100%.
We can. We know on the surface we can regurgitate. Oh, it's good for your immune system.
Yeah.
Okay, but what type of exercise? How much exercise? What lengths and degrees can we go to maximize that for that specific reason?
Yeah.
And I think it's fascinating. I think it's a fascinating thing. I think it's.
I definitely don't want to get into this is the cure all say all.
No, there's a million things. It can't just be gym. I go to the gym and all of a sudden my immune system's.
Well, again, intense exercise bouts lower the immune system acutely.
Of course,
really intense exercise will acutely lower the immune system. But does that mean I'm going to say, hey, don't exercise and just be a piece of shit all day long? No, there's so many more things to go into it. So it's going to be fun to research that one. And like you said, I think this is. Over the last 2 months, we're really going to see. I think people are ready. I think people are ready to get back in here, and this selfish plug, like you said.
I know you can't help but you can't help but use that, but it's the truth. It's God is honest truth, and we're excited to be able to do it in the capacity we are. We're very fortunate to.
And honestly, for people coming in, or whether you're a beginner or intermediate or advanced or whatever it may be. Again, selfish plug. Hey, we're opening for personal training. It's not a bad idea.
This is something we've done all the time. Is have a trainer or have it's. There's always been guidance, whether it been from the app. There's so much free content. Because we built this gym, it wasn't like we're gonna have a gym and it's gonna be this fitness thing and everyone's gonna. It's gonna be people that want to take their things to the next level. We want to be able to provide that for them. You know what I mean? And to feel comfortable inside of a gym setting, to learn the, how to even act on a gym floor. Obviously there's a lot of different personalities on a gym floor. I think a lot of people get nervous at that. But we all follow the same rules. You know what I mean? There's an etiquette to it, and I think that providing those services are all the way up into how to what types of muscle groups should be changing at certain days, how much rest you need between training bouts, and where to start you off in terms of volume, how much mechanical tension, how much weight you should be loading, and how to use the machines. Not just doing 10 reps. Why are we doing 10 reps? How'd you feel after 10 reps? So there's a lot more that we supply the members as a whole outside of just adding on services. This is not a pitch to say you need a personal trainer. Like, no, these are things. We write articles. We have an app. We can give free templated programs for people that they can utilize. This is huge. This is beyond what most places would do. And then once you get your personal trainer to get you on track and a tailored program to you, you can really make a lot of progress. And we've changed it. You have, and you're modest about it.
Oh,
but you know that I've gotten emails like that you've changed people's lives, and it's an amazing feeling just to receive a message like that, but to truly understand what you're doing, because we're doing it all the time. But to truly take a step back and understand like the impact you have on someone's life is, and I think we're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see a lot of it in the coming weeks, coming months, and I think in this entire area, I truly do.
That was one of the reasons I got into it to begin with. You know, you said we do it all the time. It's like, oh, you changed my life. No, I just kicked your ass for an hour, like a day. Like, which again is really cool that you can have that impact on people's lives. And I think now we're going to see it more. One of the best things that you can do is maybe get a 4-week ass kicker, or just change the pace, whatever it may be. Hey, say, Kev, this is what I usually do, or this is what I did before the quarantine. I want 4 weeks. And I just want to get back into it. I want to work hard. I want to leave here sweating. Trust me, it's gonna happen. Especially with our new room,
our new semi-private training studio, Kevin's new office per se.
Oh, you're gonna see a lot more content.
It's got all the turf. It's got yokes and battle ropes and
I'm excited
a tire.
I'm excited to. You ever roll in one of those tires before?
Yeah, Alyssa has. I did not.
I've done it. It was pretty fun.
We did it for my son. He had a blast.
It's pretty fun.
And then Alyssa said I have to do it too. She did it successfully.
Yeah, I had quite the hill, but
I was afraid I wasn't gonna get out of the tire. That's all.
It was tough to get out. Right? But
it's gonna be exciting, man. You're gonna have a lot of tools there for a lot of people.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
It's exciting. So.
I have a lot of good ideas in there, and the best thing is that with this time, the returning to training, how do I come back? Is a lot of the questions that I've heard. So, how do you come back?
What's your advice? If I were to say, Kevin, what's the first step?
There's three avenues, because
it's the first step. What do we do?
Get here.
Get here.
Yeah, get
Good.
here.
Yeah.
Literally, get here. As I always say to most questions, it depends. Depends on what avenue you want to take. I've pretty much broken it down into 3 lanes. Well, actually 2 lanes with just a piece of advice, I guess. One lane is come back in and continue to do the things that you were doing. And maybe not at the intensity that you're doing.
Sure.
One of the things that I always like to say, start at bare bones minimum, right? Increase frequency, 1. Get here. Even if you have to take your split, and if you're doing push-pull legs, for example. Push-pull legs, rest. Push-pull legs, rest. Do upper-lower rest. Upper-lower rest. So you're increasing the amount of days that you're coming here, and don't beat the shit out of yourself those first couple of days. You're gonna want to. I did.
When you're sore and you're like, maybe I don't want it. It's like you touched a hot coil. It's like I did it. I didn't just tap it. I just grabbed onto it. Now I don't want to do it again.
Right. You will. Yeah. And for a lot of those experienced lifters, you might feel those first 2 weeks back of muscle soreness.
Sure.
It's normal, and any lifter is going to feel that. But just get here. Right, and take what you've been doing. Let's just say you did 4 to 5 exercises per muscle group on a given day, whatever it may be. Start with 3, right, or 2 per muscle group. If you're doing an upper day, 2 chest exercises, 2 back exercises, and maybe a shoulders and arms exercise. And then on your lower day, just say do 10 working sets, or not even 8 working sets.
Yeah,
because we've seen a lot of research on that. And then rest, and then come back and maybe do some different exercises. Take all of the encyclopedia if you're an experienced lifter, take all the encyclopedia of exercises you've done in the past, and maybe even a few that you haven't done in the past, and just put them in there, just on days, right?
Kevin's avenues, the different ways, the different avenues.
Right? So you can do that and increase sets as you go. So week 1, maybe do, 3 by 10 for the bench press, right? Then week 2, do 4 by 10. Or even day 2, right? Or like day 1 is push, right? And then day 4 or
now you're
5.
writing programs in your head, but yeah, we get the picture for sure.
Increase volume over time. Don't come in and be like, okay, don't do what I did. I like that.
We're doing German volume training. We're doing 10 by 10. Here we go. Sign up.
I like the high volume stuff, man. I was in here first day doing supersets, drop sets, all that stuff. It's fun, right? But increase volume as you go, and don't jump into that thinking that you can. Even if you want to attempt the numbers that you tried before, let's take a step back.
Work it. Build up to it.
Build up to it. Like, don't. If you're deadlifting, 505 or whatever it is, hit 455.
Yeah, I think being cautious because, like I said, we were talking about before in the last, a few minutes ago, is taking your time to go back into it because you might actually come back full recovered and you might find in 3 days you're deadlifting, you feel like you deadlift more than you were when you started, when you ended, because whatever it might have been, whatever type of fatigue you're going through. But again, that might not be the same. There might be small muscles that are not prepared to be loaded 100%. Like that.
All those.
Just your core alone, your core strength just might not be there yet. Give it time. Let your back, develop. I've seen people do a deadlift. I know that because I took 7.5 weeks off from the deadlift, and I went from 705 and I worked up 675 after 7.5 weeks, and 675 didn't feel heavy, but it didn't look good.
Right. Yeah.
It just didn't look as tight. I felt it too. I felt certain areas of the lift breaking down, and I think that's where. I know, I could have went up a little heavier, but I know that at that point I'm jeopardizing form, and then that's just that's risk versus reward. What am I doing this for? You know what I mean? I know I drop back down, do a couple more sets, and we'll build back up, and we'll far surpass where I was at before.
And that was that's great that you mentioned that, because that's what I've seen. Most importantly, this is going to be more of a psychological
The first few weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks. Give yourself 2 solid weeks, and just get back into routine.
Yeah.
And I promise, I think 2 weeks is a sufficient amount of time. Maybe even a week. I think after 2 weeks, I think you give yourself 2 weeks, maintain plan. Even if it's not, you're going 5 days a week, maybe go back to like 3 for the first week. Then you hit it for 4 days. Yep. And that goes back to your sets conversation of, even as simple terms. In advanced training, sure. Maybe you're doing 15 sets of a muscle group, and you're going to go up to like 18 the next week or wherever it might be, or maybe say 15, and you manipulate your volume some other way, or your tension. Even for someone that started out they built up to 4 days a week, and they moved, and I'm going to start at 3, and I'm going to go to 4. Then if I can attempt 5, and I can realistically adhere to this, then to go to 5. So
yeah, for the experienced lifters especially, work up, because experienced lifters. You know that you didn't get there overnight, so why would you think that after 8 weeks of detraining, you think you can go back there overnight? What, like the gym's open up tomorrow and you're like, great, I can PR. Just get out. And
not a lot of people, not a lot of experienced trainers even think like that.
Exactly.
But I know a lot of people are like, hey, listen, and I also know a lot of experienced trainers like, you know what? Once the gym doors open, like go in there and do that. Like you might just need that to get over the hump. But I'm talking about that person in the middle of the road that's like. I know that if I get so sore, I want to go back, and it's tough to maintain a routine, especially if fitness is the only thing you have. And even when you're working with your colleagues and they're not in fitness, or maybe there's family members that are not into fitness or whatever it is, developing a routine is challenging.
Definitely. So, I mean, like make a point to get here. First 2 weeks especially. I mean, we've seen a lot of it is it takes about 2 to 4 weeks to build a routine to begin with.
Yeah, build a routine and then look for changes.
Remind yourself on why you're doing it, and hey, I like that soreness. I like after the first week that I was back, I was really sore legs after sleep. Sore for days.
Can't squat down to use the bathroom. Sore. Like I don't like that sore, Kevin. I don't know what kind of.
I don't like that
kind of person you are. I don't like that sore at all.
I took a lot of time off from doing that. So this detraining is not new to me.
That's nothing.
But
Yeah, man, I agree.
yeah, like remind yourself on why you like the muscle soreness and whatnot, and you talked
And
about
what
the
it's gonna
core.
do? What's gonna do for you?
Yeah, you talked about the core earlier. Build up to those lifts for those guys who are like in the middle of the road, like not a beginner, but not like very experienced. Get back into the routine of doing it.
Find
Be
something you enjoy.
smart.
I mean,
Yeah,
go back and enjoy. Don't look at it under a
Yeah.
microscope. Okay, if you want a coach or a trainer to help you develop something that's under a microscope, but like go back in a routine and get back into just enjoying breaking a sweat or lifting some weights,
I
and,
had a
or
lot
even
of-
enjoying the community that we that we built here, and I'm sure other facilities have as well. So
Yeah, I had
There
a lot
you
of
go.
issues with that, after my show, like just getting back to enjoying it.
yeah,
You know, and I think I needed time off. Like I took a few weeks off.
Sure.
After my show, and like the first couple weeks were fun because you saw all those,
Yeah, you
post-show
started gaining, yeah.
But then after that, I'm like, man, this seems like,
how long can I have? How long can I do this? Yeah, for
exactly. So, and a lot of it that helped me was just again doing things that I wasn't doing in prep. And I think that if you liked your program, again,
It's a job, man. It's a job. You suffered for a little bit, and it became a job. And I think everyone kind of goes through that.
absolutely. But like in terms of like the quarantine and whatnot, if you liked what you did before quarantine ended, go back to it, reduce volume, and gradually increase it.
Yeah. Even group training, I would even say
Yeah.
in group training, I noticed people are starting to do like our body pump classes. Like, it takes a little time to get built up to actually do one of those and feel like, yes, that was awesome. I think the first, like, oh my goodness, that was a hard workout. Not that I say, you feel like death after. Some people might at first, body pumpers are no joke here. These people are like, those are like they're like expert. They're like, they're like high level athletes when they're like, you don't think it's, they're not a fluff class, man. These things are amazing.
Definitely not.
But those specifically, you may have been able to do a full length 55-minute body pump class, and you might have to ease back into that. And just don't be discouraged by it. No, don't be
the
discouraged. You might have to go
smaller weights,
small
man.
weights and just grab a bar. Do what you have to do. But I think the thing is the driving point. The driving point here is to take your time, be consistent, and just
Yep.
don't be discouraged by any means. Any final thoughts here, Kev? What do you think?
Yeah, my tip of advice is let's try not to buy into a lot of fad shit right now.
Sure.
Um,
Build a routine. Don't just supplementation's not going to outwork
Yeah.
a good routine and exercise program.
Because
And
again, guys,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, it will come back. There's no reason to jump on,
right, no reason to catapult or fast track things with
I'm gonna
time.
do a fasting 21-day
Yeah,
fix.
yeah,
Look
or
at it.
soup diets or things like that. Whoever, I don't even know. Like, actually, luckily, I haven't really heard of much going on like in the industry, which is kind of
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, I have my opinion on those kind of to begin with.
Although I don't scroll through Facebook much anymore. I can't do it.
But that's where I want, like, I guess if I had a huge piece of advice is like, let's not go from 0 to 100 as we said with the training. And if you've been eating like shit or whatnot, or like, I'm gonna do this 21-day fast diet, let's take a step back, let's get back into the gym, because more than likely in the next 4 to 6 weeks, if you're watching your diet, and not even like strictly, like if you're watching your diet, if you're being healthy, and you come back to working out under different intensities, you're going to bounce back. And from the studies that we've seen, you're going to bounce back even better than you were before.
As long as you're consistent.
Yeah,
don't rush it.
consistent.
Right.
I spread it all the time. Consistency is key. And, this would be fun. It'd be fun to kind of see how it works for this area. Because I think, like you said, I think we're going to see a lot of good stuff in terms of...
I hope so,
coming to
man.
the gym.
I really hope so.
And I think this is going to be a kind of a wake-up call. Like, we'll get into it in another podcast or something. when
Sure.
I'm, like, into a
The
little
immune
bit
system
more.
coming up on one of these coming up here soon.
Yeah, but I think this is going to be a wake-up call that maybe we should be a little bit more precautionary rather than reactionary. Because if we're going to be reactionary with something like this, it's not going to work.
Right.
You know?
Kev, I appreciate your time, brother.
Hey,
It's been
absolutely.
good. I'm glad we were able to do
Yeah.
this.
Come on.
breaking in the podcast room. Guys, if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach the gym at team@upstandparfit.com, or you can contact Kevin via email. Kevin at upstandparfit.com.
Either one.
Or you can take a look on his
Yeah.
Instagram too. It's like cconley520.
Yeah, K Conley 520 at
I know his handle.
bang bang. Look at that.
All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for everybody who watched this entire time. I hope you guys all stay well, stay healthy, and stay strong.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.